Hey, welcome. We're going to do a small intro here, and then I will be right back.
Hi, I'm inviting you to actually join me live on the internet. And if you would, you can bring your own emotional preparation. We can work on emotional preparation together, and we can really hone down and help build out that talent within inside of you. Now, even if all it is you want to just bring an emotional preparation, do a spoon river, I don't mind. Come, join us, and absolutely practice the talent of your own acting.
Okay, so we are absolutely in having an interesting day and working towards things that are going to improve ourselves as actors. So whether you're live or coming to this in reruns, there's a lot of interesting information, and there's a lot of interesting things that actors do to practice their abilities to be able to access themselves. There's this incredible, varied amounts of acting techniques that are used so that actors can wake themselves up into emotional activation. And when they're able to open up their emotions and they're able to open up their feelings and instincts, then all of a sudden, all of those emotions end up becoming part of the interaction in the acting exercises, in the acting scenes, in the acting improvisations, all over the place. It's incredible. So we're looking at this topic of being able to. First of all, I appreciate comments. I didn't print them out today, but thank you. And let me just continue to work hard, which I'm doing. But I'm working in a way that is getting more and more organized, which is very good, very good. And so let's dive into this and work with a couple of the ideas here I have for today's broadcast. So what are emotional ranges in acting? Now, there is a video that is important, that is about this, but I want to be able to mention it here because if you can understand that there is this emotional range in acting, then you can start to work with this great, there's an emotions list, and there's also a independent activities list. And there's other materials and resources on the website. Now, the reason why I have an emotions list is because they will help you to be able to get and access your emotional preparations. Now, emotional preparations are the ability to match whatever you're able to do in yourself emotionally to awaken yourself emotionally. And can you match that to an actual piece of material? And then are you capable of being able to change up your emotional life, change it up, and then be able to activate something that's different? And then jump into the thing that's different and be able to work with that element where you can actually dive into the same material and do it with a different emotional color. And if you're able to do this and able to practice doing this, you're going to get better and better at acting. And this is what the topic is of emotional ranges in acting. Emotional ranges are the ability to trust that what you've done with your emotional preparation is you've activated specific emotion. You've activated a specific range. And when you're capable of knowing that you've activated a range, and then you can build the acting technique in yourself, your own acting technique, that same activated emotion that you've done in your emotional preparation has a very high probability of showing up in your acting work. And this is key. And this is the way that you're able to trust and build emotional ranges. You got to trust that you can activate a certain range. Now, there is obviously, there is many different ways to activate your emotions. You can activate your emotions with your imagination. And there is no shame in that. There is a fantastic ability for you to be able to do vivid daydreams, to be able to get and activate emotion. But the key is that you're not, delving into your imagination and then having your imagination run wild. No, you're working so your imagination gets that moment of activation. And then you're able to work with that so that you can then put that into your work. And you do the same thing with writing. So, say someone, you've got a imagination of something and you work with that imagination. But as soon as you get that activation, some deep activation, then you've found an ingredient for your writing material. And this is the way to work with it. So when you work to be able to trust that you are working with emotions deep enough, that would mean that you are working with deep feelings. Deep feelings are beyond what's called below the chin. It's deep feelings are things that are beyond thoughts. They're beyond really great ideas, and then they're beyond fleeting feelings. Now, I say fleeting feelings because feelings have a tendency to be there 1 second and gone the next, and they can be fantastic to connect to instincts in acting because they can make you very aware about everything going on within the acting world, imaginary circumstance. However, you want to work with deep feelings and activate emotions when you're acting. And when you're able to do that, then all of a sudden you will find that your emotions will actually start to show up inside acting interaction. Acting interaction is absolutely the key. You want to be able to build up this trust. So this requires a key ingredient. So let me make a note here because it will be easier later. So an interesting thing about this whole thing is you've got to be willing to do the hard work of emotional preparation in your acting. And then you do the hard work in your emotional preparation, and then you have to be willing to be able to let go of your emotional preparation enough to juggle it, to be able to get it into your work and start the process of receiving. So you're working to be able to receive the other actor. This element of receiving is something that, it's important because this is the thing that will actually take the activation quality of acting and be able to actually make it work for you. So the key is being able to take the concept of emotional preparation and be willing to do the preparation and then let go of that preparation long enough so that you can start the interaction. And when you start the interaction, then all of a sudden, amazing things happen because what you'll find is that the specific emotional range that you actually worked with in your acting and in your emotional preparation shows up in your acting, which is fantastic. That's exactly when you start to know that you know how to do acting technique. Acting technique to put emotions into your acting. And nothing could be, it's fun because you can do emotional preparation on things. Sometimes you'll tell people about your emotional preparation, sometimes you won't. But what will happen is your emotional preparations, you'll go into your emotional preparation bubble, right? Activate your emotion, and then be willing to let that go enough, answer the door, work in the scene, and then all of a sudden it will show up all of a sudden in your work and it will surprise you. And it will show up in maybe surprising areas in the work of the material, and you wouldn't even know that you wouldn't have expected, which is exactly the point. The point is to be able to put life into your acting, and that is the way to do it. Now that leads us to another point. You want to let go of life in acting before you do your emotional preparation. Unless you're using a piece of your life in a real time, element of that so that you can spark your real life element as part of your emotional preparation technique. You want to get rid of all your acting baggage so you can have clean emotional activations. See, when you get emotional activations, what happens is that you just start to have that river flow up inside of you. And then okay, that's the moment. That's the moment that you're ready to go start to get to work. You've got to get some. You got to start reading the script. You've got to start jumping into the improvisation. You've got to work And that's the moment, that you'll just start having a stream come up out of you. And that's key. And it is important. Go ahead, ask me questions if you'd like to. I see a couple things. I'll check in a second. But okay, so look, the other thing that's absolutely important is you want to think of yourself as an artist in acting. That's right. Acting, it is the art of acting, because it is the art of being able to get and do the techniques to find your emotions and then be able to activate those and then put those in acting. So you can actually craft the range of experience that you're going to have when you're doing your acting. And when you're able to craft that range, then all of a sudden you're going to start to explore your talent. And this is what this is all about. It's absolutely key. And this is why I do recommend that emotions list. Because you go down that emotions list and then you start looking at an emotion. And if you say, if you have an emotion of bitterness, I'm just picking one off randomly, a bitterness. And then you start to remember, do you have any real life remembrances of being bitter? Was somebody bitter towards you? Were you bitter towards somebody else? And you write down a couple of those memories. And then you go into what would be something that would be imaginary. And is there an imaginary element that you could imagine that would make you bitter or make somebody else bitter, that could pull that activation of bitterness from you? And you go through the list like that. And then you'll start to find that you'll find elements that will actually work for your emotional preparation. And I'm telling you, it's awesome, because this is going to be a way to really wake up yourself in your acting. And you'll find that you'll be there in this incredible way. And you'll start, all you have to really do is receive your acting partner or acting partners. And all of a sudden, because you've activated the emotion, there'll be this undercurrent that will actually happen in your acting, which is awesome. Okay, so we have to understand this art is acting, right? We're looking to become artists. We're looking to be artisans in acting. That is, we're looking to be able to put emotions as artists in acting. And that is awesome. Okay, so the next thing I got here today is, so having your emotion find you in your acting. Oh, this is far different than going and trying to push your emotion in the work. You want to be able to receive the other person and have your emotion, trust yourself that you've activated your emotional preparation. And when you can trust that you've activated your emotional preparation, all these happy accidents will happen to you in your work. It will be this incredible thing where you will have this emotion find you when you're acting. And when you have this emotion find you, all of a sudden that activation happens again. And it happens in a great way. So if you would, boop the like button. I see people coming and going this time. I'm getting more and more organized, which is great. And that is exactly how it's going to build up. So the other thing that I have on my list here is to look at how to do and how to create people. How do you create people for acting? How do you create people? And why would you want to create imaginary people? Now, look, if you've ever gone to an audition, you don't often know who you're going to be working with. But you know that, say, you just all of a sudden, you're going to have to believe the person's capable of doing some crime that they've never committed in their life. And you're going to have to be able to imagine that you're in an imaginary circumstance in that audition, that person is actually capable of doing that crime. Well, if that's the case, then you're going to have to be able to work with an imaginary person in your acting exercise. Now, you're not dealing with imaginary, you're dealing with the imagination to catch your activation. So you're really trying to do stuff that's profiling people so that you can understand them, so that when you're working with them, that activation comes out. So you can understand that they could be a bad guy, even if they're a really nice person. You can activate that component. And this is why you might want to be able to create an imaginary ex in your acting work. You might want to create an imaginary boyfriend, girlfriend. ex-lover, ex-wife, ex-husband. You want to start to work on these components of imaginary people so that you know that you've got those as emotional preparations for your acting. And that is absolutely helpful, because when you can start, when someone says, oh, you're going to be dealing with your ex, okay, you've got a script that you've just been given, and you've got a script where you've got an ex. Okay, well you've got to find it like that in a heartbeat, how to be able to start building up that chemistry. But because you've done the work of doing this build up of imaginary people for acting, and working with this concept of building up imagination and working with your imagination, you know how to identify what that is in your acting work. And that can be completely helpful. I've got a video on that. And it's very, very good. So the last thing I wanted to cover here before we go to other things is why use emotional preparations. Now, a lot of people, and I've seen over 30,000 acting exercises. Now, a lot of people study emotional preparation, and the purpose of emotional preparation is to match the emotion that you're going to activate to the scripted material. You want to be able to choose that, and then the skill is to be able to choose a different emotional activation and do the same material and see if you can do that two different things differently. So you can test whether or not you can actually do emotional activations and emotional preparations. Now, the key to emotional preparation is emotional activation. You've got to activate it. You've got to get that blood boiling. You got to get that river flowing of emotion. And that takes working with a thing that I call activation journals. Now, an activation journal is a element in yourself that will actually be able to mine and find components that actually activate your work. So you work with yourself to activate your work, and you work so that you can actually be able to really find material that actually is deep within you. And when you're able to find material that's deep within you, then you're able to work with emotions instead of flittering feelings. You're able to activate something that's depth, and that's a way to be able to work it, to be able to find this stuff. So that's the reason why you use emotional preparation. So listen, let me take a short break here, and then we'll figure out what else to do. Field some questions. I am still working on this format. Honestly, in the live feeds, things go a little bit quick. So it's a little bit interesting of an experience. It's like the old 3-camera shoots back in the day. So, okay, so let's look at this here, and I'll be right back.
I'd like you to join me live on the internet, absolutely doing your acting and doing emotional preparation. Now, one of the things that the casting directors always make comments on in the back rooms is whether or not a person can do a piece of material with one emotional preparation and then switch their emotional preparation and do the same piece of material. And we can practice doing that on our live feeds together. So join me. Find the information on the website Emotional Preparation, and then you can join me and we can broadcast you live on the internet, and it will be fantastic. Hi, I have studied with well over 35 different Meisner teachers. And many of them I used to watch when they were just baby Meisner students in the classes. They didn't even do teaching yet. They were just students in the classroom. So you could join me at 2 p.m. on Tuesdays and Fridays and ask me anything and about acting. And then you can also, we can work together to be able to help get your emotions. So if you want to help to be able to do emotional preparations, it's absolutely no problem. Listen, I have seen a lot of acting. And you could join me at 2 p.m. on Tuesdays and Fridays, and I will even help you do your emotional preparation. Just, I'll send you a link. You can come backstage. We can work face to face, and you can join the live stream. Hi. would you help me to be able to help you? Would you please, in the comments section, just place one question per comment that you have about acting? It's really important to me that you find your own acting technique. And if you ask some really good questions, you never know what I might be able to come up with answers.
Okay, welcome back. Now listen, I really appreciate the people that have showed up today, and we are going to cover a couple of very small things first, and then we're going to wrap it up unless people have questions. I am still learning to be able to juggle doing the live feeds and figure everything out. So it is absolutely normal process to be able to learn and figure out how to be able to do all this stuff. So now, the thing is, I want to cover in detail. There is a comment saying that the emotional lists sound very interesting. Well, they are, because they will help you be able to expand what types of emotions that you're actually focusing on. So what you can do is you can be able to find that you've got like an emotion that maybe you go and brainstorm. The first thing to do is brainstorm the emotions that are actually the most prevalent to you that you can think of off the top of your head. What are the types of emotions that you can think of to do emotional preparation right off the top of your head? And you write down whatever that is. Maybe it's 5 emotions, maybe it's 20 emotions. And then you go to my acting emotions list. And there's free version, and you can also do the one for $5 if you feel like it. And that helps me to be able to keep things going. And the thing is that then you go down the 900 emotions. And don't do them all at once. Just go page by page, lightly to be able to keep going. And you start to expand your emotions that you use in your emotional preparations. Now, when you expand your emotional range, you're capable of being able to have more talent. This is the point. You want to go through that emotion, whatever the emotion is on the list. So right now, I have an emotion of sentimental, right? There's an emotion of sentimental. Is there something that I can think of in my real life that brings me the feeling of sentimental, deep feeling of sentimental, or an emotional sentimental? Can I write down two to four things in my real life? Then can I write down maybe things that other people have sentimental, maybe, right? And then you can also then work with imagination. So you work with what would make you become sentimental. And you write down those 5 or 6 bullet points beside that emotion, sentimental. And then you start thinking to yourself and you start brainstorming to yourself, how do I take emotions and how do I get my emotions working with this concept of sentimental? Now, this could be a sentimental. It could be a big deal because it could end up working with relationships that you're building in your classrooms, in your acting exercises. It could work with your independent activities. Sentimental could work with just your own personal activation for your emotional preparation. So you starting to build this thing that I'm calling an activations journal. And an activations journal is a booklet of things that emotionally activate you. So then you take that list and you go down, kind of go through it, and then you go through another one, you keep reading through. Then, okay, well, here's one, livid. Now, livid, well, can I remember times where I've been livid in life about something, upset about one thing or another thing, and I've been livid. That's what the meaning of livid is. Okay, and then can I remember other people when they've been livid? Maybe when, say, justice wasn't served, or maybe there was this thing that happened, can I remember it, and can I put that as an ingredient? And then can I brainstorm imaginary, times that things that if something was to happen to me in an imagination, would it bring up the emotion of lividness? Now, I take that list and I start brainstorming how to be able to work with my emotions. How do I be able to build up emotional preparations? And when I'm able to work with this, all of a sudden, instead of just working with the 3 to 5 main emotions that everybody works with, All of a sudden, you're working with lividness. All of a sudden, you're working with this. Now, it's important to understand there are feelings, and sometimes feelings will be there and then they'll be gone, and then they'll be there and they'll be gone. You want to get deep feelings, and you want those deep feelings to mature into emotions. So you've got this emotional river coming from you. And this is incredibly, incredibly, incredibly useful list. Now, this is how I recommend using it. And I recommend you getting a blank journal, activations journal, and work with that so that you're able to start building up yourself and your talent as an actor. Because every single time you go to do a piece of material and you're working with a piece of script, you want to be able to see and test yourself. Are you able to do an emotional preparation with one emotional range? And are you able to do the work, right? Do the acting, do the improvisation, do the script, and then turn around and take some break, and then go back and see if you can activate a different emotional range. And then you can see whether or not you can build up your talent. And that's the way to do it. This is how professionals work at the highest levels. And I've seen over 30,000 acting exercises, well over. And it's important because this is the way to be able to build up your talent. So the other list that I have that I wanted to talk about, now, have any questions, go ahead and ask. But the thing is that there is an activities list. Now, if you're working with an emotion, with that emotions list, you can use the emotion, you can do your emotional preparations, and then jump into an independent activity. And then you can see, are you more motivated when you're working with one emotion, or are you more motivated when you're working with another emotion to get that activity done? And that can be a real acting technique that can really actually help you out. So the other thing here is you're looking at an activations list. And there's some free activities list, acting activities list. And you can work with this activities list. There's over 900 acting activities, Meisner activities. And you want to work with this both in the privacy of different locations. You might want to be able to, maybe it's an activity you can take to a coffee shop and work on. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a eulogy. You can write it in the coffee shop. Maybe it's a eulogy you can write at home. And then you can see the difference between that and then doing that in front of the class and see how you can actually tell the difference. Can you feel the difference? And are you able to do something by putting your fourth wall up, which means are you able to find your actor concentration? And are you able to find your actor concentration with that emotional range by using and utilizing emotional preparation techniques? And remembering that emotional preparation is the activation of emotion in acting. Acting is activation and acting is interaction. So you want to be able to see how much emotion you can put into interaction, how much emotion you can put into your action or your activation. Are you able to put that into your work? And activities are fantastic for that, just absolutely fantastic. Now, you could be tuning a bicycle, you could be decorating cake, cookies, you could be finding specific footage, making origami. Obviously, you work with meanings, you work with reasons, but you work with emotional preparation to really give emotional weight. You know, while we're talking about this subject, there is this topic called muscle memory. And if you do your emotional preparation, you can actually do a muscle memory technique, and you can literally feel that you've become activated. And it's part of what I've done some videos on this called visceral acting or visceral acting responses. And what you always want to be able to do and to be able to achieve is when you've got that visceral tightness or that visceral responsiveness coming into your acting, relax, totally relax, and let that become part of the interaction. Even in an argument, there's interaction. Even in a discussion, there's interaction. In scenes, there's interaction, and that's key. So I would suggest working with emotional preparation with acting activities lists, and practice this on your own, and then see if you can work with the same type of depth of concentration in your own space as you can do in front of a classroom or on a stage? Are you able to find a concentration to maybe forget that people might be watching you, or forget whether or not there's this you're in a classroom? And that would be great, because this means that you would have done something that's very sought after in acting. It's called the imaginary circumstance. You would have entered the imaginary circumstance with emotion. And that is absolutely fantastic. So listen, let's take a short break here so I can get some coffee, and then I'd like literally 30 seconds. Okay?
Hi, I'm inviting you to actually join me live on the internet. And if you would, you can bring your own emotional preparation. We can work on emotional preparation together, and we can really hone down and help build out that talent within inside of you. Now, even if all it is you want to just bring an emotional preparation, do a spoon river, I don't mind. Come, join us, and absolutely practice the talent of your own acting.
Okay, thanks very much. So the absolute truth of all this is I am still working to get a lot of stuff working on formatting for this, trying to figure out how to be able to juggle everything with the live feed. It's all just fun, and I'm working and I'm getting better at it. I'm starting to see what works, what doesn't work, what people need, what people don't need. So please be patient with me, make suggestions, make comments, like and boop the like button if you would. And let's really understand acting together. Let's really develop this so that we've got acting and we're able to work with emotional preparation. Look, an actor with emotion is worth far more than an actor without. And what talent actually is talent is the ability to do actions with emotions, with emotional intent. And that is the reason why these things are such sought after. There's some great stories about stuff on Broadway where one actor would find some incredible inner life and emotional life, and other actors would be jealous of them because they couldn't figure out what they did. There's other stories where actors would fall into these types of emotion where they'd be immersed in this imaginary circumstance world. And then all of a sudden, they'd come back from the stage and they couldn't figure out what technique they used to be able to get that, because they wanted that experience to happen to them every single night on Broadway. And it wasn't, and they knew it. And that was some great things about why you want to use emotions. So listen, please let me know how I can improve. I'm going to cut this off in the next couple of minutes here. And I want to really say thank you to everybody for showing up. And please share this with your friends and let me know how I can continue to improve. There's also information. I have developed a dyslexia font for myself to use. So if you need to get a free copy of the dyslexia font, it is all capitals. And there's other ones that are not all capitals that show the differences between the different letters. So that because a B upside down becomes a P. That's just the way that it is for dyslexia. So it's vital. You might want to share with your dyslexia friends that you have, if they're having problems reading the script, you could literally download that free font, and then you can get it and put all your script materials in all capital letters, both large capital and small capitals, and then you'll be able to read even quicker. And that's a brilliant thing. One last thing when we're talking about that is how to memorize lines. You want to go over the lines and the materials with the different emotions. And if you can go through a different emotional preparation with the same material, you'll actually find that it actually helps you to be able to expand the ability for you to remember your lines. And that is an absolute truth. So, hey, thank you very much. Let's have one last commercial break, and then we will go out. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming today.
I'd like you to join me live on the internet. Absolutely doing your acting and doing emotional preparation. Now, one of the things that the casting directors always make comments on in the back rooms is whether or not a person can do a piece of material with one emotional preparation and then switch their emotional preparation and do the same piece of material. And we can practice doing that on our live feeds together. So join me, find the information on the website Emotional Preparation, and then you can join me and we can broadcast you live on the internet, and it will be fantastic.
Okay, thanks again. I really appreciate it. And please contact me. Let me know if there's anything else. Send me a comment. Let's see. I'm going to do everything I can to keep working hard and making sure that people know that emotions are the key in acting. It's absolutely vital. Okay, so until